Today, we're embarking on a journey into the really remarkable mind of Carl Jung.
Hmm.
He was the pioneering Swiss psychologist, the founder of analytical psychology, and he fundamentally shifted how we understand the psyche.
Absolutely. Moved way beyond Freud's focus, didn't he?
Exactly. He went much deeper, looking into these universal, almost spiritual dimensions of the mind. So our mission today is to take a real deep dive into Jung's most influential ideas, the ones that still shape how we think about ourselves.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Well, to really get Jung, I think we have to start with his bedrock concept, the collective unconscious.
Right. Foundational.
Yeah, you can almost think of it like an ancient operating system pre-installed in our minds. It comes loaded with these universal human patterns, stories.
And importantly, it's separate from the personal unconscious.
Totally separate. Your personal unconscious is, where your forgotten memories live. Maybe that embarrassing thing from school you try not to think about.
Right, your own stuff.
But the collective unconscious, that's different. It's like a shared psychic inheritance. These patterns, these images, they're common to all humans, not just you.
And it's fascinating how Jung actually got to this idea. He wasn't just theorizing in a vacuum.
No, he was observing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
He kept seeing these similar primordial images, almost like universal symbols, popping up again and again.
In dreams.
In patients' dreams, yeah, but also across completely different cultures, in their myths and symbols. He noticed it during his travels, too.
Oh, right, like with the Pueblo Indians.
Pueblo Indians, the Algoni tribe in Africa.
Mhm.
He saw mythologies and symbols that were strikingly similar to ancient European ones.
Even though they'd had no contact?
Precisely. Which really suggests we're all connected by these deep, sort of innate psychological structures. It's quite compelling.
So these universal patterns within the collective unconscious, he called them archetypes.
That's the term, yes. Archetypes.
And there are quite a few, but one that always seems to grab people is the shadow.
Ah, the shadow. Yes. It definitely gets attention.
And I think a lot of people assume it's just, the bad stuff, our weaknesses, repressed desires, the things we don't like about ourselves.
Well, it is that, partly. It certainly encompasses repressed ideas, weaknesses, desires, instincts, shortcomings. The stuff we'd rather keep hidden, even from ourselves.
But it's not only that.
No, and this is crucial. Jung saw that the shadow also holds our unacknowledged positive qualities. Latent talents, creativity, strengths we haven't owned yet.
So ignoring it isn't just about ignoring the bad, it's also ignoring potential good.
Exactly. And that's why confronting and, importantly, integrating the shadow is so vital for psychological growth.
What happens if you don't?
Well, those unacknowledged shadow qualities, positive or negative, they don't just disappear. They can drive self-sabotaging behaviors, projection onto others.
Projection, like seeing your own flaws in other people?
Precisely. And Jung even talked about a collective shadow.
Okay, how does that work?
It's when unacknowledged negative aspects within a whole society fester. Historically, you might see it manifest in things like witch trials, scapegoating, even genocides. Really destructive stuff.
Wow, so understanding this isn't just personal, it's societal too.
It absolutely is. And for individuals, recognizing these archetypal elements, like the shadow, can actually help them feel less isolated in their struggles. They see their experiences as part of a broader, shared human story.
Okay, so we have the deep structures, the archetypes. But Jung also talked about moments where the outside world seems to weirdly sync up with our inner state.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Meaningful coincidences, right. Things that seem connected but you can't explain through normal cause and effect.
That's the idea.
The classic example everyone uses is the golden scarab beetle.
Right. Jung's patient was describing a dream featuring a golden scarab.
And just then, an actual beetle, very similar, flies into the consulting room.
Exactly. A golden-green scarabade beetle, Setonia aurata, tapped on the window. It's uncanny.
It really makes you pause, doesn't it? It does. And this concept of synchronicity, it really challenges our standard, everyday understanding of causality. A causes B.
Right. It suggests something else is going on.
Jung proposed it points towards a deeper kind of order, maybe an unseen web of interconnectedness, where our inner world and the outer world can meaningfully align without a direct physical cause.
So it's not magic, but maybe a different kind of logic.
You could say that. It's a framework for finding meaning in events that might otherwise seem random. And these synchronous moments, when they happen, often feel incredibly significant.
Like the universe is trying to tell you something.
Sort of, yeah. They can act as powerful catalysts for psychological growth or change, often feeling infused with this sense of, destiny or guidance.
So bringing this all together, what's the lasting impact? Jung's ideas seem everywhere once you start looking.
They really are. They've deeply permeated the zeitgeist. You see their influence in art, film, literature.
Like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. That's basically built on archetypes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Campbell drew heavily on Jung's work to map out that universal story structure you see everywhere, from ancient myths to Star Wars.
And what about things like personality tests?
Well, his theory of psychological types, introversion, extroversion, thinking, feeling, etc., that formed the basis for tools like the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI.
Ah, yes, the MBTI. Lots of people know that.
They do, but it's really important to remember, the MBTI is a simplification. Jung's original typology was much more nuanced, more dynamic. He saw these preferences as tendencies, fluid things, not fixed, rigid categories.
Good point. It's easy to oversimplify. So Jung's approach was really broad, wasn't it? Pulling in mythology, religion, philosophy.
Incredibly interdisciplinary, which is why I think his work continues to inspire this quest for deeper self-understanding and meaning.
Yeah, it feels like his concepts offer this kind of timeless way to grapple with how complex our minds are.
Exactly, a framework for understanding ourselves and maybe even fostering human flourishing, finding that wholeness he talked about.
So a final thought for you listening. How might thinking about these patterns you described, like the hidden bits of your own shadow or those strange, meaningful coincidences, how might that deepen your understanding of your own life's path and your potential? Something to ponder.